Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 367, and today we're going to be doing battle with Jax Ornn. And so, when it comes to Ornn, I always feel really bad for him. I feel like he came out, we just immediately dismissed him and said, you're expensive and all you do is attack, let's get rid of this guy, and we never really came back to him. I feel like across the course of the Battles with Bust videos, we've done one, maybe two videos on Ornn, and I'm pretty certain that we've we've just played more Path of Champions than we have with Constructed in terms of Ornn. But nonetheless, it's not to say that he's not a exceptionally powerful champion. He is a big 7-drop dude that comes down and just closes out any game to where he's not really interacted with. And as far as this format goes, we're starting to see more and more decks that can't properly handle an Ornn. And so if you're wanting to think in terms of, say, one of the Tristana decks, Tristana's very good at just putting out a whole bunch of units on the board, not particularly good at blocking a 18 attack overwhelm unit. Same kind of thing applies with a lot of the Demacia-based Challengers decks, whether or not that's something like Scouts or Kaisa or whatever. They tend to not really handle these big, gigantic, overwhelming units very well. And so that's kind of like one of the things messing around in the back of my head. But as we were talking about Tristana, I'm actually quite interested in playing the card Bellows Breath. This is one that should be able to come down, potentially just wipe out their entire board. It doesn't kill everything. It doesn't kill things like Vandal City Mayor, but it is very good at clearing out the Fey package, especially since the Bellows Breath happens twice. It should be able to clear out all of the spell shields and then activate the second time to kill off all of the little birds. And so I'm excited to come in and try and give this one a shot as well. And then as we also kind of move a little bit further into the meta, while it should not be a particularly good matchup for us in terms of the Powder Pandemonium Fizz Samira decks, having that answer to Powder Pandemonium, having some kind of way to actually come in and kill off 4 and 5 and 6 Powder Monkeys is kind of interesting to me. And so I'm wanting to come out here and give Bellows Breath a little bit of a chance, a little bit of a shot, see if we can't get in some high impact combats with our Ornn and maybe take down some games along the way. And so the only things I'll call out with this list that we're playing that may be a little bit different or a little bit odd outside of the Bellows Breath is I wanted to have just a little bit more ways to give Overwhelm. We can only get it from either Ornn or from generating the Overwhelm equipment from our improvises. And so we have one copy of Wildclaw's Ferocity, just as another late game way to kind of snatch out a big Overwhelm unit. And then we also have Revna in the deck. I'm still quite a big fan of Revna. This is one of these decks that, you shouldn't run out of stuff to do, given that the improvised weapons give you so much time. But in my practice games, I have find myself running out of stuff to do. And so Revna is a fantastic late game option in the sense that she replaces herself and then makes all of the remainder of your units very strong. And so that's the deck we're going to be doing battle with today, and we actually got to pay a little bit of the pay-to-win price. It's been a while. We're back on the main account, and I noticed that the Bellows Breath, I didn't even own the full 3 copies. I only owned 2 copies of it when I was starting to practice. But what a day! What a day for the Bellows Breath to shine. It gets crafted, and then it also gets turned premium. It's got to be feeling good. Got to be feeling it. All right. Off to battle. And so this is not one of the matchups that we're particularly excited about. As you see Swain turn up, you have to assume that he's going to have a way to just come in and kill Ornn with a Disintegrate. But in my experience, it seems like the Swain decks have kind of moved away from the big Disintegrate kind of package, and then they tend to use things like Prize Fight and Pablo. And so the idea being that you can play Pablo, generate a prize fight, use the prize fight to fight a unit down to 1 health, and then clear that unit out with either Parlay or with a Make It Rain. And so I don't feel as completely scared as I might have in formats past. And look at this, we're building right up to it. We're gonna get this Bellows Breath on the board next turn. Gotta lose a unit to do so, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, and it's kind of nice to come in and clear out the idol and the tentacle. Maybe we'll get to really pop off with it here. All right, it's much scarier now. It's much scarier. He has played his one make it rain. There's not too many ways for him to kind of come in at fast speed. It's just too risky at this point, and so let's just add in the combat cook. Be sad about it. Move on. Let's pick up the upcycled rake here. Fantastic equipment to pick up with Ornn. Pot full of pain, bro. Ooh, he does make an Alawi block. Interesting. He did have the second make it rain. Well, I'm glad we didn't get really invested in that Bellows Breath. That would have been a pure disaster. So we're hurting a little bit now. We need to pick up a unit, right? We've got Revna in hand. We've got Ornn in hand. We have this massive collection of equipment, but we don't have any cards we can currently play for the turn. Blades of the Fallen not helping any, so we're gonna get completely nugged here. A bit of a bummer. I mean, I don't feel like the Unforgiven Cold is really worth it at this point. I could see some argument to it because we like really need to play Revna next turn, and then we really need to play Ornn on the following round, but it just feels so bad here. Now the Revna lining up with Jax is kind of nasty. All right, get on the board, girl. Well, at least Jax turns up, right? He's one of the cards that can get a little bit better if they turn up in pairs. Let's load up the Revna. Give it the good equipment here. Yeah, just getting savaged this game. Just getting savaged. But shouldn't be dead next round. We should be able to protect ourselves with the thing, whatever it's called, the Unforgiven Cold. But a bit of a weak point for us here. And Swain, jeez, my dude. So, do we want to preemptively play the Unforgiven Cold? It's going to shrink the Tentacle down to 0. It's going to shrink the Swain, so we don't have to worry about Swain striking us. He does then get to, say, like, attack with a Lowy and the Sea's Voice, make a new Tentacle, or I should say grow the existing Tentacle, but it shouldn't be enough to kill us. And my concern is if we wait until combat to play the Unforgiven Cold, hits a Lowy, hits the Tentacle, then we're stuck still needing to deal with Swain, which we should have a blocker for. I guess it's not terrible if we throw the Mirage in front of him. I'd rather just kind of threaten his other units, though. Alright, so Swain's been dealt with. Jax can come in. We can still safely take 3 damage from the Sea's Voice. It's not that big of a deal. We should have enough health to soak through this Alawi. Just put down a Tentacle Slam and pull it back. This is going to be nasty, whatever it is. Okay. He's dropping the GGs early. He's put the stuns on our back line. That's going to do it. 14 coming at us. Send them all in. All right, GG. A bit of an awkward draw. That's tough. It comes down to that one turn where we had 7 mana in total and overbanked 1, or we only got to bank 1. And I think maybe we should have played the damage prevent spell that turn just to spend the mana. But that still feels pretty terrible. Just doesn't do anything. It's not one of those plays that helps you win the game. It's one of those plays that helps you not lose it. But all right, on to the next one. Up against Heimerdinger Jace. Reasonable enough start here. I'm going to get rid of the combat cook. We already have enough early game stuff running around. Apprentice turns up. Not bad. This should be fairly safe, right? If we're on the even attacks, so we don't have to worry about this apprentice getting popped before it gets the forge. You can drop a forge chief, which is a little awkward in terms of getting that forge down, but we can just alter the path a little bit. Hey, 3-4. Everything Loyal Badger Bear wishes it was, right? 3-4 for 2 mana that puts a card in your hand. If only, my friends, if only. All right, opponent coming up on. Oh, he doesn't have 6 mana. I was going to say he's coming up on his 6 mana round, but he doesn't have the requisite mana to do a lot, and so. Let's start popping off with this Ionian Hookmaster. Do we want to, though? I mean, we've got the Combat Cook in hand. I don't want to go, like, super tall with the Combat Cook, right? It's just the opposing deck. I don't think these decks play too much Hex Obliterator anymore, but I do want to give a little bit of respect to Vengeance. So you still have to worry about Hex Obliterators because of Reggie, but I don't want to make, one super equipment here. Hookmaster comes in, pick up the Pot of Pain. I'm still looking to Combat Cook next turn. I mean, we could look to Forge. It's not terrible. The Hookmaster is a little too small to take down a Forge Worker. Okay, I'm convinced. Just get in while the getting's good, and then I want to save this fish fight for next turn to potentially take down a Heimerdinger. He's a little scary. Sure. So the Artisan should still be a safe add, right? We can add the Artisan. We only have 1 mana bank now, but next turn we'll have 5 regular mana, so we can play the Combat Cook and Fish Fight if we need to. Then on turn 6 we're looking at Revna. Sure. Why not? Why not? Seeing opponent's been banking up a ton of mana here. You typically pop off spells instead of overbanking so hard. And the Combat Cook. It's tempting to pick up the Shepherd's Authority at this point. It's like we already have a reasonable kind of utility equipment in the Pot of Pain, but yeah, it's like every time I try to convince myself to pick a to pick a Shepherd's Authority, I tend to just regret it, and so. We'll shy away from that here. But now, just looking to get Revna on the board, and so no real reason to be particularly aggressive. I don't want to play things like Time and Dedication, though. If he comes in with the Heimerdinger this round again, I want to be able to fish fight the Heimer, but Revna's not really known for her combat prowess, so we'll let her come down after the fact. Say no thank you, Heimer. Nice, didn't get any spells off of it. And the big boy Jax turns up. Cool. Lots of power, lots of power. Alright. The board got boomed, but not that big of a deal. Let's lead off with the Castaway, and then we're gonna look to still get Jax down this round. We'll have the mana to Jax and Fish Fight, bank a little mana into the following turn. Getting close, getting close.
Want to line up for your beatdowns or go all at once?
You want to line up for your beatdowns, bro? Now, this is an interesting round. Like, you don't usually see Eradicate come out of these decks, and so I'm a little bit bamboozled by it. I would have to imagine if you're playing Eradicate, you're probably not playing. You're probably not playing a
Hey, Captain.
Ruination. And so let's just stick with this unit. I am going to go for the combat reel this time, and then after this spot, I'm going to Ferocity up our smaller bro. Send in the squad.
Let me change up my style.
See if that's going to be enough. It is. GG. Well played. Them meaty boys coming in.
Winning never gets old.
But I think the end of that game kind of indicated why I want to play Revna in these just a little bit, right? We kind of ran out of stuff to do there at the end. So having access to that card draw that also makes your future draws good is kind of nice. It's like you have to kind of find a nice balance between playing cards like Revna or playing cards like the Challenger thing, Entrancing Lure. But all right, into the next one, up against Teemo Caitlyn. Much different removal suite than in the previous game. We should be able to hammer pretty hard with this Jax, especially with him coming down with 3 health because of the Forge. So feeling pretty good about just opening with him. That 3 health point is such a big deal, right? They have the Mystic shots. They have the Caitlyn spell, whatever it's called, the Piltover Peacemaker. Just nice to not worry so much about the 2 damage removals once we have that just little bit of extra health. But here, fine to go ahead and send in with the Omen Hawk. It's not gonna do anything this game, and so we'll just drop it right in front of Caitlyn. Fixing 5,000 is quite good here.
Nothing to eat after this battle?
Catch and release only. Do you kill everyone you beat?
Alright, so let's go this way. Let's drop the Artisan. We'll get the time and dedication.
Is this the one where Ornn comes out of the lake of
I
lava?
think we want to come in with the Apprentice.
Guess I'm the
Maybe not. Well, let's just load up the favorite Artisan. We're a little light in terms of, like, I don't think this Weaponsmith's Apprentice ever gets to attack. You're gonna be on Caitlyn duty, my friend. Just coming out and blocking wherever you can. It's a little scary. Like, the thing that worries me with this board is he did add the Puffcat Peddler. The way we always talk about Teemo is that first Teemo hit, when he's flipped, doesn't really kill you. That gets you up to, roughly about a damage a turn in terms of Puffcaps, but once they get that second hit in, the game's done. And so ideally for us, the opponent wouldn't be getting us a flipped hit this turn with Teemo, but it's going to be very easy for them to do with the Puffcat Peddler on board.
Bertha, please tell us a story.
The spirit of the mountain was working at his forge.
Do we feel bad about this now? I didn't stop to think if we could shut down a Caitlyn attack. Like, I tunneled in on the Teemo. Looks like he's not going to bring it in, but probably should have done something to make sure we had a 4 health unit to get in front of Caitlyn or to get in front of the Chump Wump. It was a bit of a boo-boo. Counting on you, Jax. Need to be hitting the overwhelm with the combat cook, and then we might be okay.
Let me focus.
Jax is going to be doing a bit of work here, but we're very likely just dead on the next turn.
Lamps to stir the pot last night? Sorry, all the spoons were dirty.
The Bellows Breath. how things can change. Are we just gonna go for it? Like it doesn't even kill any. It doesn't kill anything, I guess, but it does reduce the health on all of these units. We gotta cast it, right? that's the way the game plays. You gotta cast it. It's our answer to Teemo. That's what we're trying to say. That's what we're trying to say. Opponent's got to stop and read the card real quick. Say, what's about to happen to me, fam? Not every day you get to see the Bellows Breath. I hear you. I hear you, bro. He's probably thinking about just conceding. So, whoa. Whoa, Bust, you're coming at me serious mode right now. So he drops a Peacemaker. Interesting.
Here's my calling card.
I did my best.
So is our Jax just gonna die? That's not the end of the world. We get to put the equipment back in our hand and load it up onto something else. So it is a pretty meaty equipment from those forges.
Hold while I smith.
I think we did it.
Turning yourself
Look at that. Look at that. The Bellows Breath dealing all that extra damage, all that overwhelm crashing on through. Well done. Well done, Bellows Breath. I knew you had it in you. Alright, next battle. You named this deck Every Breath You Take after the Bellows Breath. I hope Sting doesn't come out and sue us. It's super interesting with Sting and Every Breath You Take. They like when I was in high school, that was like prime P Diddy time. Like I in like middle school, high school, I was in that point of life to where is Teemo again? Sure is. To where like MTV was very relevant, and then TRL, Total Request Live, was what all the kids were into. You know, you came home from school and you cracked on the TRL and watched the videos, and that was a big time for Puff Daddy, P Diddy. I guess he still goes by P Diddy, but we want this Panapane. It's like we have all units in hand. The combat reel is always just so strong. If we want to start like replaying equipment, the combat reel will be good. But so the happenings in the I guess this would have been the early 2000s. I don't remember when the Notorious B.I.G. died, if it was in the late 90s or the early 2000s. But as a tribute to the Notorious B.I.G., Puff Daddy put together the song sampling off of Every Breath You Take from the Police or Sting or whoever did it. But they didn't ask for permission. They didn't ask for the rights, and so Sting went and just sued him. And it's something ridiculous that he makes in terms of money now, just solely based on the Puff Daddy thing. It's like I believe it comes down to when it initially happened, it was like $2,000 a day, or maybe it was like $1,000 a day, but now with inflation, it's like $2,000 or $3,000 a day that he makes just because Puff Daddy made a song like 15 years before. Like, it's insane. It's insane how much he makes off of it. And that's how you really get ahead in life, you know? If you're wanting to say, like, Bust, how do I get ahead? How do I... The man has beaten me down. How do I get ahead of that? You say, well, you just make a song and have somebody sample it without your permission. Just they come out without the permissions and you're good to go. All right, reasonable enough board for us here, though. We're gonna pop our time and dedication. What a disaster of a prank. Okay, I was really counting on this Jax having 4 attack and hitting into the chump womp, but
Come on, where's the competition?
this way it goes sometimes, you know. Still good to attack with the Hookmaster. Get that extra point of mana much more relevant now, since our spells are on the expensive end of things. And man, we probably just messed this up again. I gotta quit talking about Puff Daddy and, and paying a little bit more of attention. We should have got this combat reel onto the weaponsmith before the opponent has the chance. Now they have that opportunity to open attack now, which I would most assuredly say that they're going to. Take those assurances away. Very surprising they didn't, since they have the means to flip Teemo, and then they would have also had the opportunity to like play around cards like Fish Fight, and so it's very surprising they didn't open attack on us. A little bit of a bit of upside for our team, and we're gonna get the Castaway, we're gonna get the Artisan, and then we're gonna get a
Hey, Captain, how's the ship holding up?
the 1 mana thing we'll put over on Jax. Still very, very weak here. This is not awesome for us. Again, we don't really have the interactivity to deal with the likes of Teemo. But our health is pretty high at this point, and so that might carry some weight for us. I think it's fairly safe to say that the opponent's board sucks, and as long as they aren't like hitting us with flipped Caitlyn's, we should be in decent shape.
I will tell you of Ornn.
So the one thing I didn't really mention, I took the Pot of Pain for the tough. It gives us a way to protect the Piltover Castaway and the rest of our cards from the varietal of Fishwhack, beautiful. The varietal of flashbang traps, right? It's not super likely to hit this unit since we had 5 on board at the start, but it's going to be better than Shepherd's Authority since our unit can still block and it can still soak up some flashbang traps. But here, pretty good draw. We picked up the overwhelm off of the combat cook. Now we should be able to flip Jax before he strikes in combat, so we should have at least have overwhelm on his strike. And then we picked up the 3 sisters, so we can potentially get rid of Teemo next turn.
Hold while I smith.
Lefty Lucy. Take those coals.
There we go. Just going to go ahead and send everybody. He does have good blocks on like the favorite artisans, but it's like if we roll into the next round, we can still just block this stuff anyways. And we have some really higher valued units down here to the right that he needs to be blocking.
I'm a peddler, not a meddler.
I don't think he realizes just yet that Jax is going to overwhelm through this Otterpuss. Much better block putting Otterpuss in front of our 7 attack unit. There you go. But this is why I'm kind of okay with throwing away these artisans here. We're getting in with damage at the moment with the Piltover Castaway. Just these units are never going to be effective in combat. So Jax gets boomed a little bit. Okay, still manageable. We just did it that way so we could eat up the traps onto our tough unit, right? you gotta make it more likely for the cards to land on your tough unit. Look at that. He just thought about throwing the pastry at him. You can throw pastry at Omen Hawk. It's okay. I'd like to see this card go towards an Omen Hawk than the face, most likely. Look at that. Look at that. One of the traps lands right on the Castaway. That's how you do it. So now this is like a little scary. I think we like just have to take the damage here. There's a couple things with this attack, right? If we do something like try to 3 Sisters Teemo and then opponent plays the card draw thing and then flips the Caitlyn in the middle of combat and blasts us for like 1,000,000, we're pretty hosed at that point. And so I'm looking to just let this happen. And then we can try and save the 3 Sisters for next turn in the event we need to... in the event we need to say, Flash Freeze or Entomb a Caitlyn. So that we... don't have to take her big set of trap damage. And I kind of messed this up. I played the Light of Acacia because I thought it was going to give our unit overwhelm. It's not the case. It's not the case. That unit does not have our Jax didn't actually flip, so it's a little weak at the moment. So let's bring the fish whack back out. Currently short on damage from the weaponsmith, but like I didn't want to play Revna and just start drawing cards. That feels like an easy way to just get killed here.
Practice, as they say, makes perfect.
Yeah, I thought we were okay because we had that overwhelm from the Light of Acacia. Without it, we're hurting. As it stands, we can't lethal on this board, and then there's no way we're going to get back to our next attack token. So we'll take the classic strategy. Maybe they'll do something dumb. And so let's go ahead and just send in the squad and see if he just doesn't block a unit. We get the opportunity to play this Three Sisters to some effectiveness. There is a realistic chance that they don't block with Teemo. I would assume at this stage to where you've got 123 puff caps in 28 cards, you're probably done, right? You're probably good on probably good on Teemo. It's probably safe to say I'll stop there. I'm not going for the 246 puff caps. So he destroys the equipment. Ah, man, that's so brutal. We got what we wanted, as to where he just like didn't block with Teemo. Such a dangerous no block, but we don't have enough damage in hand to fight through it. All right. GG. Sometimes you get the misplays you hope for, and it just doesn't turn out to be enough. All right, next battle. So many Teemos today. What do we got here? Talia Malphite. Alright. What do we got? Hang on to this apprentice. It's kind of scary. You know, if we're our big play for the day is to drop a gigantic Ornn, and then the opponent's just like LOL stun. that can be a bit of a problem. But reasonable enough start for us here. Chip's not going to do anything on this first turn. We're going to get the 4/3 Jax on the second turn. Opponent wants to come in and play a Ruin Runner. Jax is still going to be able to win all of these combats up to this point. Good stuff. Rockhopper, not Ruin Runner. I miss playing the Ruin Runner, man. It's so good against all the decks that I hate. Having Overwhelm and Spell Shield. Need more guys like that running around. Uh-oh, are we gonna get him? Are we gonna get him good with the Bellows Breath? One can dream. One can dream. But reasonable spot to forge forward. Getting Jax up to 5 attack can be a pretty big deal. Lets him come in and fight things like the Grumpy Rock Bear now. Survive the battle at the end of the day. And now we got to get this Rock Bear Shepherd off the board before it's able to do any nastiness. We have a real choice here. I would prefer to fight the Shepherd with the Adept Weaponsmith, but we don't get to draw a card if we do it this way. And I think it's okay, just to get things to go the way we want this round. Is it? I mean, we could hook it with Jax and then just offer up the trade with the Weaponsmith, because the Weaponsmith is vulnerable anyways. All right, fine. It's too tough, man. It's too tough to be like, no, I'm not gonna draw a card today. I'm gonna skip on that aspect of the game. All right, he gets a trade with Chip. That's fine. That's about all we could have really hoped for. Okay, Invalus Vox thing coming in now, and then if he comes at us with Talia at this point, we can fish fight the Talia away. We're gonna have to worry about the Rock Bears and stuff, but at least this big unit can be removed from the board. And we're actually, like, this is when we want to Bellows Breath, right? Like, it's realistically not going to hit any targets, but I don't want to forge Jax, or I don't want to forge the whatever the thing is called, the Acacian Rain or the Light of Acacia. Okay. And then maybe we just don't... Like, I was thinking in my head, it's like, well, we're just going to fish fight, return the equipment to our hand, and hit the Talia. Maybe we just strike. And that lets us go ahead and... go ahead and attack next turn with our Jax directly into the hibernating rock bear. I think that's okay. Like, it shouldn't have any ways to just deal damage to Jax, right? I think so. I think I'm right. I've been wrong before, but I think I'm right on this one. So the thing we're kind of worried about at this point is got to be cards like Quicksand, but with the three sisters in hand, I feel a little bit okayer about it. Got that second Bellows Breath ready to ready to bring the thunder. We're not gonna play this one just yet. Hey, he's got the Quicksand. Didn't do what you wanted though, did it? He's got 2 Quicksands. Gotta emote to that. So what are we pulling off here? 3 Sisters lets us deal some damage, but it's not going to be enough for a kill. I think we probably just go for the Flash Freeze. Do have to worry about these Endless Voxes coming out next turn, so I kind of want to hang on to the Unforgiven Cold. Alright. Flash Freeze it is. Double Quicksand. That's wild. That's wild, yo. You gonna drop a Malphite on us this turn as well? Ugh. Okay. Okay. Had to stop and see if we were big enough to just strike him down. We're not living that dream anytime soon. Let's at least take care of a little bit of this board. Do we want to just take the... No, we can't just take the 17. It's like, well, we can just take the 17 and be in fairly tip-top shape, but we don't have the health for that. Now we have our secondary problem to where Jax is too small to fight Malphite.
This ain't just a lamb.
Not going to be able to attack through him. Alright, Revna. There's who we needed. So it'll take us a bit of time. I think we're, kind of safe. If we have the second Unforgiven Cold to try and shut down the Malphite next turn. We got extra blockers this time around. I think it's okay. We can stop this, and then if he Unstoppable Forces, we still have a unit to play after the fact. Can't play Ornn, though. You got Hookmaster. I think we want the Rake, right? We can equip the Rake to something, and then copy it with Ornn, and then be getting... Okay. Is he going to be big enough? He'll be big enough when he's flipped to attack into Malphite with Scout and not die. What a world we live in, man. What a world we live in. Now this is where we get to pop him, right? He has... Malphite is the biggest unit. The next biggest unit's Endless Vox, so the Unforgiven Cold is going to cancel the Desert Duel. Alright. Definitely safer. And then we're going to throw away the Hookmaster. Don't want him on board.
Hook, line, and sucker.
With the equipment back in hand. We'll put the... Do we want to put the Scout Rake on Jax? We're not going to attack with Jax next turn. Alright. Is it enough? Did we do it, fam? There you go. There you go, Ornn. It's time to do your thing. Watch him just get stunned. It's going to be so lame if he just gets stunned. We fought so hard to make it through such a terrible board. You can't just get stunned. Just get stunned. Lame. Lame, lame, lame. So even attacking with Jax, he'll be up to 8 attack now. No, he's up to 10 attack. That sounds like a big number. Or 10 health. That's enough to survive into Malphite. Brutal. So we probably don't have any ways out of this one as we gotta look at this next turn. He's gonna have another Malphite thing, another ground slam, and we're just not gonna be able to play around it. It's too much to stop at this point. Yep. What a bummer. We fought through so much. Such a terrible match. We got such a good position and just to get stunned right out. Fight through the double quicksand into the stun. Is what it is, I guess. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, Ornn. You gotta secure us some victories. You gotta do this one for P. Diddy. For Biggie. Notorious B.I.G. does drop one of my favorite rap lyrics of all time. The wife loves it when I drop this one. And so the way it's going to go is he says, I got techniques dripping out my butt cheeks. I got to sleep on my stomach so I don't mess up my sheets. I love it. I use it anytime I'm able. The wife, not impressed. Now, it takes really one of the great lyricists and wordsmiths of the generation to rhyme techniques and butt cheeks together. He did it. I think he did it. So, props to him. All right. Reasonable enough start. Opponents playing Aatrox Bilgewater. This is the Reaver's Row 1-drop stack. And so, I wanted to have a little bit more early stuff than just the Piltover Castaway, but I didn't want to run into one of these hands where we have absolutely nothing. And so, still hung on to him and got rid of everything else. The idea we'll be looking for here in the early game is to remove as many units as possible. And so the kind of standard rules apply as to where if the opponent gets to have 4 units on the board when Reaver's Row pops as compared to 1 unit, we would much rather the opponent just have 1 unit. And so very odd attacks coming from him here, but happy enough with how that played out. This big old Castaway, snap him right on the board. I think the Rake's okay. The opposing units are all going to be so small that he should be able to get multiple attacks in. And then if he dies, we have the Blades of the Fallen ready to snatch up the equipment and then forge it again on the next turn. Okay, well, he does have the way to get in front of this thing. Shit, we should have played the Blades. That was my bad. That was my bad. I think it's still okay. But I'm sitting here talking about just playing the Blades and completely whiffed on it. I mean, I guess it's not... I was expecting the unit to be a little bit bigger, so I guess it's not horrible that it fell that way, but it's no excuse for the no excuse for the bad plays. Alright, let's swing it around like this. I don't really want to be taking all this damage, and so we'll just trade out the bird and the card, pick up the 3/2. Let us continue on with the scout attacks. In this next turn, we can look to forge up the Mirage again. Is that where we want to be? I think I'd rather save 3 Sisters for next turn. Castaway comes in. Vixen 5000 is going to be the good one here. Letting attack with impunity against this deck. This is the last turn the opponent's going to have before they can drop things like Aatrox, and so feel good with that. Bring in the time and dedication. Probably garner a trade. But we already got our scout attack in for the turn. Good stuff. Now we can start bringing that thunder. Completely fine to come in and make these trades. He's investing a ton of mana into replaying this Darkened Harp over and over again. I mean, he's pretty much out of cards, so it's probably not horrible from the opponent's perspective, but it's really keeping him from building up that giant board that we would actually worry about. Then on our next turn, we're gonna be able to upcycle Drake and use Ornn. So we can like ignore this Aatrox. He's not that scary. The World Ender isn't that scary. I'm gonna just make sure we get our Rake back. We're gonna upcycle Drake. Same thing that we did in that last game. We'll get the Rake on board and then we'll copy it with Ornn.
Strike while the iron is hot.
Scout's a pretty fun ability, am I right? Pretty fun. Pretty fun.
Name's Ornn. No further pleasantries needed.
All right. Get him leveled up. So we won't be able to get him to level up on the first attack. He's going to attack, get some strikes in and stuff. But then on the second attack, we'll get the ram out of the Ornn ability. Ready to battle. Look at you. If anyone asked Ornn why he had so little patience, he would answer simply that he did have patience. Whew. Wordsmith, just like Biggie. Just like Biggie. Nah, bruh. I do have patience. Crazy. Crazy. What else you got to say, Ornn? I let you go too soon. Tremendous patience. It's like he's gonna use the word bigly in here. He's gonna say bigly and confifi. Fucking Ornn. Come on, dude.
Now this is what good looks like.
There you go. Forged up. So we're going to be a little bit short of the lethal on this attack, but his opponent's board's getting annihilated. Like to get this stuff cleared out. Don't really want him to get a bunch of like strikes in and then equip the Darkened Blade and then play the World Ender. That all sounds kind of crappy to me for the next turn, and so we can kill off these units and really limit what he's able to do on board. Alright, 14 overwhelm coming at your nug, so he's going to have to block all three. Good deal. I think we're in a good spot, fam. A little bit short of the lethal, but we got the interactivity for next turn with the three sisters, this big scout and Ornn. I think we're going to be good. Harp, World Ender, Darkened Blade, and Ballista. So he can play like... Well, I'm interested to see what he does if he... I don't think he's going to go for the World Ender since he didn't play the Darkened Blade. But curious how he goes. And then if he just drops a Darken, we can drop a Entomb on top of it so that it doesn't actually get to attack. Well, not onto Harazi, I guess. Not onto Harazi. We should still be pretty okay, though. These attacks aren't very good.
I've been looking for that for centuries.
As eyeballing the Bellows Breath, I thought this was going to be a way to to make some of this magic happen, but no, I'm not real impressed with how that looks. So we just need to not die here. He can make this attack with Harazi. We'll throw a block in front of the Taskmaster, and then we can Fury of the North our Ornn to get him in front of the Harazi.
Sounds like we have a problem.
Should be enough. Tremendous. Tremendous. Good job, friend. Oh, I already marked it a W. The emotes came out. I just assumed the game was done. Okay. Let's make an attack. Ooh, that's probably not the one that we would actually want to... We should have put the hooks into the Weaponsmith's Apprentice just to make sure our Ornn didn't die. Nice learning moment from where we just messed up here. We should have definitely protected the Ornn. So if something weird happened, I don't know what opponent would have here, but if he had something to kind of flash freeze or frostbite or whatever, we would want to ensure that we had a opportunity to make a second attack. But wasn't enough. Victory unlocked. On to the next one. Karma set. All right. Let's see what we can do. This hand's all very expensive. Let's just go ahead and get rid of everything. Much better, much better. So with this, I'm not going to play Jax on turn 2. That's a little scary. If we play Jax and he just gets blown up by a Mystic Shot, it's not going to feel very good. Favorite Artisan has plenty of stats, and we can probably find a way to drop Jax and then hit him with the Forge. They're going to take our Jax down early. We at least want him to have to put the work in for it.
A broken thing is a waiting thing.
Boom, aggro. In case you didn't know what we were doing today, that was it. Bringing that aggro right at him. Okay. That's how we can get our Jax on board. We can use the Weaponsmith's Apprentice. I think we want to wait until next turn. We can just take the 3 bank on this turn and then open with Jax, and then that'll get Jax up to a 4/3. Then if opponent comes at him with like an Aftershock or something, we'll still have the mana to boost him with 3 Sisters. Okay. Still in the same camp here. Would we rather move? Combat Cook's just better, right? Use our mana effectively and get all those stats on the board. Gonna go with the Shepherd's Authority on this one. I don't really plan on blocking at any point in this game. And if opponent comes in with the 3/4 in this space, I don't want to risk losing our Combat Cook to and I guess that like a Cosmic Rift is what would let him start to die. We're just never blocking, right? Blocking's for losers. So I guess the question is, do we want to time and dedication this Combat Cook? I don't think so. I like holding on to this mana and really keeping our options up. Not really surprised to see this block happen, and it feels like if he's making that block, we're just kind of falling behind with our mana spend.
Technique is for lightweights.
All right, let's give it a shot. Opponent didn't keep up deny mana. We should need 2 spells to kill the Combat Cook, so I think we're okay here. We even have 3 Sisters in hand if we need to give him some bonus help. Ideally, we wouldn't have to pull off the 3 Sisters, but options there, you know. Drops a tag out. Okay. It's gonna be a big open attack next turn. It's only got 1 mana, so we can kind of have our way with him here.
Want to line up for your beatdowns or go all at once?
God damn it. Okay.
Even if you fall, your fighting spirit will
Oh.
keep on going.
I just assumed we didn't have to play around any removals at this point, and since he only had 1 mana, but apparently that was wrong. Apparently that was wrong. Alright, well. Make a sad noise and bring what we can bring. I'm not gonna drop the 3 Sisters. I think we have a bit of time here. And it's like if we drop the 3 Sisters and we boost a unit and then he has Concussive Palm, it's gonna feel like a real waste. But we're kind of getting set up here to this space where we want to be in, to where we play Ornn on the opponent's turn. And then with Ornn on the opponent's turn, we get that opportunity to just open attack with him. And so we can't hit him with a bounce spell or whatever. But he is short of leveling up. We haven't done an 8 attack strike at this point. And so if opponent comes at us with like set, then the Ornn doesn't look nearly as good. I actually like the Revna here a lot more. We need to be finishing this off fast, though. He's about to get up to that turn 10 and hit us with that nasty karma stuff. But if we want to stop and think, like, if he plays set, how much do we even care, right? So say he plays set, his good set hook is going to be on one of our equipped units. He kills the equipped unit, keeps his set, and then we get to put the equipment on something else. That's kind of okay. But the thing that worries me about this space is the opponent just having more blockers, right? I would really like to be able to attack at this spot to where we have 4 attackers into his 2 blockers. His blocks aren't very good. And then we're going to look to potentially Three Sisters one of these smaller plays. Interesting. Interesting. Not expect to pass. Thought he was going to attack. I was really looking to Three Sisters the set away. Well, let's start with Entrancing Lure, see what happens. Weaponsmith turns up. I don't really like it. I think we're kind of stuck being all in here. So we'll send the attack in. He's going to block everything. We're going to Three Sisters the Favorite Artisan. And see if that won't be enough to punch in. It's probably not going to be enough to get the lethal. But if we can get to this spot to where he can't really add any more cards to the board this turn, right? So we're going to Three Sisters. Where are you at? Fury of the North. We're going to boost the Artisan. Now, he's going to stop this, right? He's going to have a Concussive Palm. He's going to have something. But if the idea now is if he has to, say, play his tag out onto the Artisan and can't protect his set, he's not going to have any mana. And if he does protect his set, then he just doesn't get to play any cards this turn. And so the way this has turned out, it seems like he's probably just going to have another set in his hand. You typically want to protect him pretty heavily there. But we'll see. We'll see. Interesting. So yeah, the next attack will be the critical one. Ideally, kind of see our opponent just play like Karma next turn, right? that would be kind of cool.
A broken thing is a waiting thing.
We'll see.
Tell me a story about Ornn, Hertha.
Once long ago, he
Just do whatever we can to get as many 4 attack units on the board.
I make it my business to know the odds.
Alright, time to party, Ornn. I believe in you. Kind of curious if we can play these time and dedications next turn. I'm curious if you say returns Ornn to hand, we get the Light of Acacia, then we can put the Light of Acacia on a smaller unit, and then try and boost something else on the turn. Like if we get to play both Shepherd's Authority and Light of Acacia this turn, it's pretty decent.
ready your weapons. We rise.
Just a pure upgrade for us here. Alright, it's as good as it's going to get. So do we have time to play cards next turn? Like, this is one of these weird spots to where he's got 3 cards in hand. It's not a ton of stuff to really have to worry about. He needs to have a Karma, and he needs to have the card draw thing. But if he doesn't have either one, then we probably have time to play units here. Now that we've hit Favorite Artisan, I feel... Or, I'm sorry. Now that we've hit Three Sisters, I feel a little bit different about it. But I think he's going to have a tough time actually killing us in this spot. But it's like adding Revna and the Favorite Artisan. I know the opponent's pretty low in health, but it's pretty tough for those units to actually get to lethal. The thing I don't like is I wanted to play Time and Dedication. I should have got that one on board ahead of time. Interesting blocks. He's blocking the Ornn and not putting a trick in front of him. All right. Opponent drops the GG. Maybe we did it. Did we did it? We did. Nice work. All right. Watch that Ornn animation and then get ourselves into a final battle.
A job well done.
All right, so yeah, we didn't run into any of the matchups we were really looking to see. We'll see if it turns up here in the last game. It's kind of a tale of two stories with the accounts. Like I have our secondary account sitting up around 500 LP or so, and so it's kind of running into the kind of serious grinders. And then with this account, it's much closer to 0 LP, and we've got a wider variety of decks out here. But on to Ken and Samira. I kind of want to hang on to the Bellows Breath. I know that we shouldn't hang on to it, but I want to go for the highlight reel. We're going to make something special happen this game with the Bellows Breath, and so I'm going to hold on to it and then hope we just draw perfect around our misplays. And so we'll see. We'll see what we can do. We're going to get Kennen. We're going to get Samira. We're going to blow everything up with the Bellows Breath while we make our one super unit. It's going to be fantastic. You're welcome. You, the viewer, you are welcome for what we're doing right now. So what do we got here? Let's pick up the Pot of Pain. Just help ensure our Hookmaster doesn't get blown up by the Samira. If she's spending the equipment to take down the Weaponsmith's Apprentice, I'm okay with that. And then next turn we can look to Entrancing Lure her off of the board. We're just building ourselves up to this really sweet Bellows Breath. That's what it's gonna be. Sure. Are we gonna get him next turn? Are we gonna boom him? Does he like play a Kennen right here, and then next turn we get to blow up Kennen and Samira? I'm getting moist. I'm getting the blood flow up. I can feel it.
There are stories.
All right, not this turn. Maybe next turn. But the favored artisans do get to survive in the face of a Bellowed Breath or Bellows Blaster, Bellows Breath, and so we might get ourselves an opportunity on this next turn to do some more magic. It's got to be the time, though, right? It's got to be. It says, what the fuck? What are you doing, Bust? It's going to get denied? That's not bad. That's not bad. If he wants to try and do a lot of stuff this turn, spending 4 mana to not get Bellows Breath is pretty good for us, I think. It still kills everything, right? Yep. Okay. So we get our equipment back in hand, or we get our unit back in hand. The equipment's gone. All of his units are dead. And now we have our favorite artisans on board. All right, I'll send it. Nice save with the Pathless Ancient, but what did he even recall this round? I don't remember him recalling anything. Oh, he recalled our unit. It's any unit, not just his units. Gotcha. Why not, right? Why not? We do lose out on the forges, but we get to kill both of the units, including Samira. Huh. I think that's probably a little too greedy. Let's make sure we get our equipment first. Take the amulet just to make sure we have it, and then if he wants to take the Samira hook into something, I'm kind of okay with it. Wow, that is actually a really tempting Unforgiven Cold. I've really been focusing in on our Bellows Breath, but we have another strong play for the turn. Sure. I'm a little scared to be dropping Ornn at this point. He's a little expensive. If he runs into a concussive palm or something, we've just given up our entire turn. So, not that interested in boosting him right away. Let's just spread out our stats real quick and jump into combat. Oof. And then we'll definitely get him next turn. One of the kind of shaky moments with that previous turn was if we wanted to play the Bellows Breath, it was going to kill off all of our own units. Now that we've gotten the Hookmaster up to 3 health, she's a little bit safer in terms of dropping the Bellows Breath. And that's where we're going to get him. That's where we're going to get him. We'll hold on to Omen Hawk here. Oh my gosh, are we going to get to do it? Oh my gosh. I'm getting excited. You could say that we're it's semi right now, almost full on. Oh, play something dumb. Dang, I thought we were going to get to pull it off. We still have a ton of mana here, though. Let's see if we can get a kind of follow-up Bellows Breath to really take it home. All right, there's the Shimon Wind again.
Looking for a daring escape.
The Vori Conspirator. Are we being too greedy if we just try and get the Ornn on board? I'm going to say that this board is good enough. There we go. That's going to be it, right? We're going to get him. We're going to get him good. Half-mast right now, boys. Uh-oh. Something's happening. Uju style, okay? So he's out here trying to protect his Samira. Oh. Oh, he's going to flip the Samira. Gotcha. I think that's all okay. Wasn't as wasn't as spectacular as I had in my dreams, but I think it turned out okay.
Better get the forge going.
All right, now will be time for Ornn. Get them big stats on board. He should be able to get overwhelm in this combat. If we have Jax flip, the Light of Acathia reads, if Jax has leveled, the Light of Acathia gains overwhelm. So we put the Light of Acathia on to Ornn. So if we do manage to level up this Jax, then, right, if this Ionian Hookmaster gets to strike, that's going to level our Jax. If that happens, both of our champions will have overwhelm. I would assume it's probably safe to say he's got a recall or something, or a stun, and so we may not get it, but we have the opportunity here, right? See, if we check the Oracle's Eye, all of our cards have overwhelm. He tags out Ornn, and then also what's happening? It's a lot to see. He's putting a recall onto Samira, letting Jax strike, and then returning Ornn to our hand. Okay, that's fine. His hand is doo-doo butter at this point, and so we'll get to load up another unit with this massive Light of Acathia. We can play Ornn next turn and just make another one, and then it should be really tough for our opponent to actually kill us here. We have the Three Sisters in hand to ideally stop any shenanigans.
Old faithful.
Another Jax. I had to stop and read that one. I'm not I'm not super familiar with everything that he gets going on.
This ain't just a lamb.
Look at all these sweet ass equipment we got now. Feeling good. Even if he's able to kind of pop off with his rallies here, I think we're in a pretty safe space.
Hope they're watching.
Okay. This attack isn't enough for me to care. Like, we can, like, come in and try and prevent some of the damages on this round, right? If he's gonna try and get a rally and hit us with these elusives again, whatever, right? He's not anywhere near lethal, and so I think it's safe enough to just kind of push away from that.
More air.
Send in the squad. We just need one, right? We just need one unit to connect.
Don't want any trouble.
Should we have actually played the Castaway? I mean, feels like we shouldn't have needed to. It's just so dangerous. Like when you're up against the Samira and she's so close to generating rallies. Like I don't think he would kill us with a burst rally. Oh my god! Look at this nonsense. 2 recalls, and then we're just a little bit short on the damage. So what's he got? A flare and a coin. So the next card he plays is going to generate a rally. So if he rallies this turn, it's not that good. I'm looking to just entomb the Samira.
Hey, I've got stuff to do after this, you know.
It is a little scary if he gets to like open next turn, get into combat, rally in the middle of combat, and attack again. But I think this is safe.
Blink and you'll miss me.
Yeah, man. I guess we should have played the Castaway. It's usually just like so dangerous to not take the open attacks. But we get the elusive off the board. Only has 2 cards in hand. The droplet comes in. That's fine. Guess we don't have any way to interact with elusives at the moment.
Hey, Captain, how's the ship holding up?
Still full of holes after you taunted that sea monster, you dolt.
But again, it should be tough for him to actually 12 us here. I could see a world where he plays like a unit and plays a unit and then plays Saiyan Thousand Tailed or something. Like that's certainly an angle to get him on board. But it sounds pretty tough to pull off. Let's give it some time. Shadow Shift, he's just digging. Sure. You can attack with that if you want. I'll gladly block. I'll gladly block with Ornn and try and get the flip. Okay, still digging.
Stay safe.
Spiritor.
I'll take it from here.
Digging even deeper. Now, the interesting thing here to note with what opponent did is we entombed that Samira, and Samira was at 5 at 6 in terms of getting ready to flip. This should not be an attack with Living Shadow. But if he had just let that happen and then come back to this space to where Samira would be coming back to board, he would still be having to deal with this like monstrous attack that we have coming at him, but it would have given him a spot to where maybe he could have like gotten the rally out of his Samira. Now it's just not something we have to worry about, right? She's at 0 of 6, and so we shouldn't have him famous last words, right? We shouldn't have to worry about her doing anything crazy, but I think we finally got enough to come in and close out the game. And we did. GG. Mark it a W for bust. And so, good set of games. We could pull this up, talk about it a little bit more. I was hoping that we would get more of those matchups that we were really kind of looking to exploit with the Bellows Breath. Sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, and that's the way I like my videos to go. I like my videos to be a kind of a reflection of what you're seeing on the ladder right now. And I don't like to cherry pick a bunch of games to where we don't misplay or where we win all of them or to where we get a very specific set of matchups, because I don't feel like that really, kind of reflects the ladder experience. And so, I had the deck in mind as to where we would be able to use the Bellows Breath against some of these archetypes, but they just didn't quite turn up. But outside of that, the deck is always kind of interesting to me. We've had a various collection of metas to where Jax Ornn is quite good. I'm curious as we approach the Runeterra Open if we aren't approaching another meta to where the Unforgiven Cold is just a necessity. I can't quite put my finger on how popular I think Pantheon and the Friends or Pantheon and Varus and the like are going to be. But this deck does have an interesting kind of toolkit in the sense that Bellows Breath being useful against all of the go wide decks, the Unforgiven Cold being good against decks like Pantheon, and then this big overwhelm strategy is historically being quite good against decks like Tristana, being good against decks like Scouts, being good against Aatrox, Reaver's Row, just any of the go wide decks. This is really a powerful strategy to come into the meta with. And so again, like as we're kind of approaching the Runeterra Open, I kind of wanted to expand out my mind. I don't like it when I give these cards a kind of initial rating and then just never circle back and see if our beliefs are true. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to come out here and play Karma. Like, fuck all that noise. That's just boring as shit. Like the last time I tried to play Seraphine, I think I made it like 2 games and I was like, nope, not doing that. I know what I'm about. And so in terms of Jax Ornn, though, it is nice to kind of see in those matchups to where we have a lot of resilience, right? Having access to these equipment give you a lot of late game power in the sense that if you have +3, +2 to put on a unit and then you put it on a different unit, you've gotten those stats twice. So if you're playing against a lot of removal or making a lot of trades as you get into the late game, your Omen Hawks typically aren't very good. But if you can make your Omen Hawk a 6/6, that's not a bad deal. And so it has all of that going for it. But we did run into what I think is ultimately a problem for decks like this, is to where we're attacking with Ornn and the game just isn't done, right? So we attack with Ornn into those Ionia-based decks, and then they have the stun or they have the recall or something. And that's ultimately my big concern with playing a 7-cost champion is what you're getting out of it has to be pretty spectacular. It needs to win you the game right away because you're making such a big investment in a card that you can play and then your opponent answer for like 2 mana. And so you have to always kind of like play the kind of risk reward scenario. And in my mind, Ornn has never really been enough, but I'm curious if we aren't about to kind of devolve into a meta to where this deck has a lot of interest and power. So otherwise, with these cards, the Bellows Breath, I felt like we had a pretty good run with it. We got a lot of board clear with it. We had that kind of nice game to where it allowed us to overwhelm for more damage. We had a couple of games like that last one to where it was able to clear out a lot of Samira's and her friends. And so I don't think it's more than a meme, right? I think maybe if it cost 4 mana, then it might be more than a meme. But as it stands right now at 5, I'm a little concerned with it. It doesn't have that same power to it that you get out of the not the Unforgiven Cold, the Udyr spell, Spirits Unleashed. Spirits Unleashed was a meta monster there for 6 months before the rotation, and it's just kind of a different story in the sense that the Spirits Unleashed boosts all your units forever, as to where the Bellows Breath only boosts the single equipment, and so you can run into a bit of harm with it. But it was an interesting experiment. I'm still pleased with how it went, and that all of the situations weren't perfect and it still performed admirably. So, good stuff. Good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. So, this is Bustin'. We thank you for being here.